talk about being mind blown. That was completely disturbing, yet for some reason I want to pause, rewind it, and watch it all over again. How did that even happen? Hey YouTube, Joss here and welcome back to Beyond the Screen. Hang out with me to the end of this video and I'll respond to some of your comments on my latest video. Movies are filled with moments that just have to be paused. They could be good, they could be bad, but we just have to hit the pause button and sometimes watch that moment all over again. Which is why today I'm talking about the top 10 most paused movie scenes of all time. Let me know in the comments what movie moment made you hit pause and you might get a shout out in the next video. Let's get started with number 10, a critical moment that was in the movie Signs back in 2002. Oh, did you see that? Don't panic, it's just the scariest thing ever put on screen, but we all couldn't help but pause the moment so we could get a closer look at the alien creature. The movie Signs is about a farmer named Graham Hess, played by the legendary Mel Gibson, who discovers intricate patterns of circles and lines carved into his crops. As he investigates the mystery, he begins to realize that it's a message sent from beyond this world. It explores the real-life phenomena of crop signs, making it even more unsettling for viewers. The whole movie leads up to that very moment where you get your first glimpse of the alien creatures that made the crop signs. Kids are at a birthday party in Brazil when the aliens decide to invade the entire planet, and one of them ends up lurking around in the backyard of the party. Yet once we saw it, we had to see it again. Pausing this moment only makes the nightmares worse, and yet we all did it, didn't we? Yeah, we did. At number 9 we have Cabin in the Woods, the horror movie that all gave us nightmares back in 2012. After watching that movie, I cancelled any camping trips I had planned. Weekend getaways with friends didn't seem all that exciting anymore. If there's even an inch of a nerd in you, there's no way you got to this scene in the movie without grabbing your remote control to hit pause. The scene with the whiteboard that had viewers curious about what other kind of creatures the lab had planned on creating. Hitting pause actually gives you time to read the list of different creatures, including clowns, giant snake, demon, alien, beast, and more. That is one twisted lab of scientists. Number 8 takes us to a funny one, a scene from Jurassic World in 2015 where Jimmy Buffett plans on saving his margaritas more than his own life. The audience had to pause this moment because it wasn't even believable. The movie takes place off the coast in Costa Rica at the Jurassic World Luxury Resort. It's a habitat for a variety of genetically engineered dinosaurs, including the vicious yet intelligent T-Rex. When the massive creature escapes, it sets off a chain reaction which causes the other dinos to run wild as well. You would think that something as chaotic and terrifying as this would have you running for your life to find safety any way that you can. Well, 99% of people were, except for Jimmy Buffett, who made a cameo during the massive attack on Main Street. And people can't help but pause the moment and have a good laugh. I mean, come on, I like a good margarita too, Jimmy, but not at the cost of a dinosaur ripping me to shreds. Here we are at number 7 with a scene from the 1939 classic The Wizard of Oz. This iconic scene was often paused by viewers because of the disturbing rumor that had spread after the movie released. Rumor has it that in one of the scenes you can see a munchkin hanging from a tree in the forest. Quite a gruesome rumor to spread since this was a family classic. The so-called munchkin suicide scene occurs at the very end of the Tin Man sequence, as Dorothy, the Scarecrow, and the Tin Man head down the road on their way to Emerald City. The scene starts with Dorothy and the Scarecrow trying to pick fruit from the talking apple trees before they discover the rusted Tin Man. After their encounter with the Wicked Witch of the West, who tries to set the Scarecrow on fire, the trio head off to Oz in search for the wizard. There is a moment in the scene that is famously known now for being paused because you can see the hanging object in the background. The image appears as a different shape throughout the scene, so some are claiming it's supposed to be a bird. Another gruesome scene that apparently people were really interested in comes from the 1981 film Scanners. The movie is about men and women born with incredible telepathic powers. There are many of them who use their special gifts in a positive manner. However, there is a group of renegade scanners who plan to create a race that will rule the world. There's one thing though that everyone remembers from this movie, and it's the scene where a man's head explodes in full-on gory detail. When this movie came to VHS, geeks, I mean people, spent a lot of time trying to work out how the director made it look so convincing. Had they gone insane? Why would people do that? Do people secretly want to see what an exploding head looks like when you pause it midway through? Apparently. On a lighter and more hilarious note, coming in at number 5 is a famous scene from the 1981 Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark, an epic tale in which an archaeologist tries to beat a band of Nazis to a religious domain which is central to their plans for world domination. Indiana Jones ends up in a battle against a snake phobia and a vengeful ex-girlfriend. What's more epic is the scene that made everyone hit pause and rewind it a million times to watch it all over again. This incredible indie film had a ton of memorable moments, but none were paused more than the shot of Belloq delivering a line while a fly crawls into his mouth. Oh yeah, I'm not kidding. See for yourself. Oh my god, how embarrassing. That is hilarious, but also a little concerning. How did Belloq not realize that? Better yet, how did the editors not realize that? Either way, the scene made it into the movie, and many of us are glad that it did. Taking our number 4 spot is the super sneak peek we all got in Spider-Man Homecoming. Before it made its full big screen debut in Avengers Infinity War, it was Spider-Man Homecoming that briefly revealed the next Spider-Man's costume design. There was lots of anticipation to see what Spidey's new suit was going to look like, and the reveal was a moment that was paused to get a better look. The scene gave the audience a glimpse of what was to come. We all know that Tony Stark tried to recruit Peter Parker to a new look of the Avengers team, and it hurt to see Peter turn his back on it. But this pausable moment made it all worth it as we got to see what the Iron Spider armor would look like. The design was so beautiful that everyone needed a closer look to see the new costume. At number 3, we have a legendary pause moment from the one and only Star Wars: The Force Awakens. 30 years after the defeat of the Galactic Empire, the galaxy faces a new threat from the evil Kylo Ren and the First Order. When a defector named Finn crash lands on a desert planet, he meets Rey, and the young duo join forces to make sure the Resistance received knowledge about Luke Skywalker's whereabouts. Of course, they had help from the one and only Harrison Ford, also known as Han Solo. But there was one particular moment in the movie that had everyone hitting pause on their remote control. The moment in the film when Rey hands Luke Skywalker his old lightsaber. There's a small stone on the ground to his right that looks like it may be a gravestone. Fans everywhere have come up with a million reasons why Luke was standing up there alone. They can't help but pause and try to decipher if that truly is the headstone next to Luke, and if it is, whose is it? Filling in the number 2 spot is an incredible movie moment that viewers spotted in the 2008 Iron Man movie. The movie was about the genius inventor who we all wish we personally knew, Tony Stark. Oh, and he's also a billionaire. Another reason why we probably wish we knew him.
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
In the movie, Stark is conducting weapon tests overseas, but terrorists kidnap him to force him to build a devastating weapon. Instead, he builds an armored suit, returns to America, and the rest is history. However, during one of the scenes with Stark trying on his suit, the audience got a glimpse of another Marvel hero's weapon. This movie moment went unnoticed for some, but die-hard fans couldn't help but pause to get a closer look. In the scene, a prototype of Captain America's shield sits unfinished behind Stark. The debut of this character wouldn't happen for another 3 years, but fans got a little sneak peek about what was to come. Did you guys notice that? I definitely didn't. Kudos to the fans that caught this one. Alright guys, here we are at number 1 with a super creepy scene from the horror movie It, which came out in 2017. I'm not sure why so many of us paused this moment to get a closer look, seeing as it's extremely creepy, but I guess it was hard to resist. I'm totally guilty for wanting a better look. In this legendary story, 7 youngsters face their worst nightmare, also my worst nightmare, an evil clown that emerges from the sewer to prey on town's children. What the hell? I thought clowns were supposed to be funny. But this group of kids band together over the course of the horrifying summer to overcome personal fears in order to battle the bloodthirsty clown known as Pennywise. As if the clown wasn't enough creep, there was also the mama creature that gave the audience some chills. The creature first appears in a brief office scene, but we got a closer look at its terrifying design when it attacked later on in the movie. It was hard not to freeze this moment to get a better look at it. Creepy, right? I can't imagine this thing being my mama, and thankfully I don't have to. Love you, Mom. Thanks for watching, guys. Let's get to some of the comments you guys left on the last video, top 10 things you need to know before watching Captain Marvel. Havana Unana. That's clever. If most Avengers can't defeat Thanos, then why would Captain Marvel face Thanos? Thanos will squash her alive. Damn, give the girl a chance. Elijah Brooks says, nah, Thor is the strongest in my opinion. Well, that is a fair statement. He is incredibly strong. Rob Milner says, I can't wait for the next few Marvel movies. Feels like a kid again. Hashtag be on the screen. I agree with you, Rob. Marvel has a way of making you feel like a kid all over again. It's amazing. Misty Barrier says, so happy this channel exists. Thank you, Misty. I am so glad you like it. If you guys haven't already, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments what movie moment made you hit pause. I'm your host, Joss, and I'll see you guys next time.